Hey, yes, snack. Welcome back. My name is Jack. It's a pleasure to see you again and to be here with me to read some Reddit stories. I appreciate your time today. If you're procrastinating or using me to entertain yourself on your work break, either way, happy to have you here. Without further ado, I suppose we should get on to the Reddit stories. So, buckle up and let's begin. This story comes from True Off My Chest by Temporary Club 7010. He begged me to stay, then filed for divorce right after getting his green card. I'm a new mom, 32 female, trying to process the end of a nearly 5-year relationship that now feels like it may have never been real. My now ex-husband, 33 male, and I met on a South Asian dating app in 2020. It was long distance at first, but we fell deeply in love. He visited often, lived with my family, and we got married in both a courthouse and a traditional wedding. I sponsored his US immigration. We even bought a house, traveled the world, and had a child together. But over time, cracks formed. His parents never accepted me. He didn't help around the house. When I got pregnant, he and his family were visibly disappointed. After our son was born, things got worse. I had a traumatic labor and went back to work after just 6 weeks while he was unemployed. His father sent a nasty, defamatory email attacking me and my family, and my husband knew. I left the house for a few days to get space, and during that time, my husband changed the locks without telling me. I was ready to walk away and revoke my sponsorship. Then he begged me to stay. He said he'd cut ties with his parents, said he'd do anything for our son. I believed him, because I wanted our son to have a family. A few months later, after we traveled to India and things felt relatively fine, he got his green card. Within weeks, he said we were incompatible, refused counseling, and filed for divorce with zero warning. So now I'm sitting with this crushing grief, wondering, was I used for immigration? How do I explain this to my son one day? Why wasn't I enough, even after giving him everything? Will I ever feel safe with someone again? How do I stop missing the version of him that I thought was real? I'm trying to find a way back to myself, but I feel discarded, invisible, and like I failed. I don't even know how to begin healing. How do you come back from something like this? Any advice, perspectives, or just stories from others who have rebuilt would really help. Now, this does sound horrible, but interestingly enough, according to the comments, in some cases, a green card can be revoked. I think his would be revoked on the grounds of fraud. I would report it and move on. You have enough proof that this is exactly what your marriage was to him. Be grateful this is what he chose to do, because I can only imagine how they would have treated your son if he chose to say instead. I'm sorry you're going through this. Wishing you and your son the best. Yeah, it doesn't seem like this guy made the best choice here. Other comments further this by saying, I may be wrong, but even after getting his green card, you have to be married for a year and a day for him to renew it. This is easy to look up, of course, but definitely contact immigration and report the marriage as fraud. Oh, and divorce him immediately. Now, with a lot of people saying this, soon enough, hope he does come back with a little update. Also, just some extra information in the comments. Him and his mum were being abusive towards me and scaring our 10-month-old son, so I had to get a restraining order against them. They're out of the house and have agreed to stay away. It's been 11 days and he has not tried to see his son or do anything, so I guess I'm a solo, single mum. I'm trying to figure out all the child support stuff, but it's mind-boggling to me how someone can abandon their 10-month-old child. It's fine if he didn't love me, but my son is innocent. What did he do in all this? Also, I filed my divorce counterclaim, and as part of it, I've requested an annulment since the marriage was based on fraud. I don't know if that'll be granted, but I've also contacted an immigration attorney about all this. I don't know if they'll take action on it, but I'm trying my level best to make sure he doesn't just scam me, ruin my son's life, and walk away scot-free. That is sadly where OP left things for now. This post is only a day old, so hopefully there are some updates later down the line in this year. Now, this story from True Off My Chest by Batcake514 is quite interesting in how it explores the common issue that things that go on in this story, well, it's not simply black and white of who is good and who is evil. My 14-year-old son got arrested yesterday, and I'm happy. Yesterday, my son was arrested by the police because he made death threats to 2 girls from his school. I've been fighting for years to get my son a psychiatric evaluation, but no one believes me. For context, in the past, I was a victim of domestic violence. The father of my children forced himself on me, hit me, tried to strangle me, insulted me, and made death threats. He did all of this on impulse. He was never imprisoned because it was my word against his. I have full custody of my children, and he has them on weekends. He lives with his parents, so there is some safety for my children. Co-parenting with my ex has been a battle for over 10 years. He does everything he can to make me look like a bad mother. I'm the one who meets my children's needs, while he just buys their love. My son is like his father. He has extreme impulses. He has punched holes in the walls, been violent at school, and done many other things. I have sought help multiple times, but I keep hitting a wall. Our healthcare system takes too long and doesn't take enough action. Most doctors didn't believe me when I told them about the situation. They pretended to send the necessary documents, but nothing happened. We are being followed by a social worker from a program that helps young people, but even she didn't see the severity of the situation. Every week, I am forced to attend family meetings with my ex, who boasts that he has 0 problems with our son, and that the issue is only at my house. When I spoke to the investigator, I told them I knew I would meet them one day because no one ever believed me. I feel so sorry for the victims my son has harmed. I know exactly how they feel because I have felt it in the past. Now, everyone is scrambling to cover themselves. The father remains in denial, refusing to take any responsibility, but the truth always comes out. My son is with me. We are waiting for his court date. We have restrictions. He will change school. Tomorrow, we have a doctor appointment to have medication and a reference in psychiatry. Common support saying, "It's so frustrating. I've read about how many school shooters in America have at least 1 or 2 that care constantly, crying out that this guy's gonna kill someone, and they get ignored until the guy goes and murders a bunch of children. Thank goodness your son is finally being looked at, but I hope it doesn't come down to that." And Opie comments in more detail as to what exactly the son did here. He was arrested for threatening to kill 2 girls. He sent pictures of a gun he found on the internet. My son is a threat. And to make things even more frustrating for the OP situation, a little update. I saw another doctor today that didn't want to help. He just said go to the ER. I'm sure we will wait there for at least 16 hours. So things are starting out promising, and it isn't until a month later that Opie comes back with an update. In the days following the arrest, we consulted a clinic doctor to get a referral for psychiatry. He refused and told us to go to the emergency room. We didn't go because my son was not in crisis, nor sick, or even less so injured. Our emergency rooms are overcrowded, and we risked waiting 20 hours. The first appointment we had after the incident with the social worker, who has been following up with my son since August, was very difficult. My son's father said, as he was leaving, that he had done everything for our son to get help. I shut him down by telling him that calling Child Protective Services for cleanliness issues, which were false complaints, and the police for violence against me, I have never hit my son, even though sometimes he deserves a kick in the butt, only caused more problems for me and nothing else. During the meeting, the social worker tried to understand what was going through my son's mind. In short, it was a teenage argument that escalated. The next day, the social worker scheduled an appointment with me alone. She referred me to 3 support groups. She explained that though my relationship with my ex is over, he continues to exert another form of violence called post-separation domestic violence, such as his multiple stops in child support payments and making false complaints against me. I contacted one of the support groups, and they can help my son at the same time. My son has accepted that his behavior is not normal and that he needs help. Last Monday was the big day. My son appeared before the judge. Essentially, the lawyer received the case file that very morning, so the hearing was postponed to next month. On Tuesday, we had a meeting with the new school. We had a brief discussion with them. For now, I'm still waiting for everything, but mentally, I feel better. My ex is starting to realize that he's in trouble, and the worst is yet to come for him. Now, what I find surprising in the comments of this is just how many parents are sharing their own issues with their sons not getting the help that they clearly need. I thought mental health services were a lot better now, but it seems like they're just as slow and tardy as ever.
Some people have these huge walls of text sharing their sympathy and love, which thankfully they've also just made a little TLDR at the top of their comment. TLDR, you and he should be so proud of him for acknowledging his behavior. I hope you both know how significant and important that is. The state of healthy mental well-being is a journey, not an end goal. Learning to authentically and genuinely love himself will be incredibly helpful and impact him in ways greater than you both could imagine. I have included some practices that have helped me personally. And more importantly, it seems the message got through to the son purely from OP really just giving him the truth of her father or his father. As a comment asks this, have you spoken to your son about what you went through with your ex? Because at this point I think you may need to. OP does reply that she already did, and that's why he understands that he needs help. But obviously she didn't give him the big details, which, while I think it's important for him to realize the truth of the situation, I can also kind of understand how traumatizing that would be to put on your son like that. Like a scummy misogynistic he is for threatening the lives of 2 women, I'm very confident he still very much loves his mum. And to know what his father's done to her, mixed out with all the financial affection the father gives, I mean again, this is just a teenager. There's a lot of confusion going on in this boy's life right now. But it's not until a second update, just over a week later, that we discover exactly why he made those death threats to those girls, and, if anything, actually makes the son a victim. I didn't think I'd be updating so soon, but something just happened that I wasn't expecting. When my son was arrested last February, I thought the police had checked his phone, but they didn't. On Wednesday, my son told me he no longer had his phone and the school confiscated it. I was angry because I was sure he had done something wrong again. So yesterday, I went to school and they informed me that it was a police order because they had to check if my son had complied with his conditions. So I have to go back a little. My son dated one of the girls who threatened him. During the relationship, she sent him a video of herself and forced my son to do the same. I always told my children never to send this kind of video, saying all the consequences it can have. Well, my son looked for a video on the internet and sent it to her, saying it was him. She then blackmailed him with this video, saying that she was going to send it to everyone and that he should no longer hesitate if he ended the relationship. That's when my son got angry and made his threats. A few hours before the arrest, the 2 girls assaulted my son by touching him in certain places. So let's go back to this week. My son's old school was informed that the video of my son is circulating everywhere in several schools. They had to inform the police because my son is a minor, even if it's not him. My son decided to file a complaint against the girls, and according to the person I spoke to, the charges he has should be dismissed. We still have to go in front of the judge in 2 weeks, though. My son will still have help. We're not stopping the process, especially now that he is a victim and not an aggressor. Now, it's hard to really say this is a relief, because nothing's really been resolved. We just discovered that the son was backed into a corner. Hindsight says he could have easily just been like, hey, here's a link to where I literally sourced that video, your blackmail means nothing. But, as OP mentions here, it's still an issue that he did that. The person in the video from the internet he used is an adult. See, sending nudes between 2 minors is legal, but sending the nude of someone else to a third person is illegal. Worse if it's a minor. But in some comfortable closure, we do get informed by OP that yes, both those girls did get arrested for what they did. Others, though, think OP is trying to now excuse her son's behavior. Your son may have not been the instigator, but common sense will tell you never to threaten somebody as in or soon is not totally innocent, and that it didn't matter if he was threatened first, he should have been going to the school administration with you. I guess maybe I'm a little old school and I would not classify your son as a victim, and I'm willing to be even before the incident happened. He showed that not only to you and your family, but also at school, this aggressive behavior, so he was already on their radar. I am glad that your son and you are getting the help that you need for him to deal with his anger issues and behavior, and please continue through with what needs to be done to help your son because you do not want him to be like your ex-husband or his father. There's an old saying, it takes 2 to tango, and your son fell into the trap. I hope the girls are being dealt with just as equally, but the only concern that you need to do is with you dealing with your son and making sure that he is raised to be a man that respects and is considerate and treats women with honor. Now, yes, this is clearly some broken English in this comment, but I've done my best to get the gist of what they're saying. And I think it is a fair point, but I think anyone who's been bullied and put into that social state of misery and torture that high school bullies can force into your life, I mean, what do you think? Sure, threatening to end someone's life is a bit much, but I kinda can't blame a teenager's desperation in this scenario. I mean, he's literally a victim of assault, too. This isn't just blackmail that happened. He was also assaulted. Anyway, let me know what you think down below, and we'll move on to the next story.
This story beginning in r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister and her neighbor to stop convincing my husband into therapy, otherwise we'll leave? I am 27 female, and I have been married to my husband, 28 male, for the past 3 years. We grew up together and even went to the same school and college. We started dating when we turned 15. My husband and I moved temporarily in my parents' home. My mom is extremely sick, so she asked me to stay with her for a month or two, so I started living with her. My sister, who's 24 female, lives with my parents, and she's being a pain in my butt as well, along with their neighbor. This neighbor is very close to my parents and visits every day and spends time with my mother and sister, which I am grateful of. But I don't appreciate how she's butting in my relationship. My husband is a bit rude, or appears as one. He doesn't like people and minds his own business. He's kinda angry all the time, but doesn't show it. He doesn't like talking about it with others except me. He's also the type of guy that if a family member needed help, he'll be the first one to show up. My husband is quiet all the time, and only talks to strangers if they initiate the conversation. Otherwise, he'll focus on his work. He's a workaholic. But the neighbor keeps trying to talk to him. At first, she would just initiate small talks, which my husband hates, but tolerated. But then she tried to convince him to go to therapy and said that her cousin is a therapist. My husband refused, but she kept bringing it up every day and tried to convince him, of which after a few days, when he had had enough, he told her that he appreciates her concern, but she should stay out of his life as it's none of her concern. My husband told me that he's tired of this and he's only staying with us because I and his mother-in-law asked him, and he doesn't want his mother-in-law to get involved, so either I stop this or he'll go back home. So I told her to stop asking or convincing my husband into therapy or whatever, and she said she's just trying to help me and my husband. Maybe my husband needs help, cause the way he's acting is like an abuser, and asked me if I am okay. Even my sister joined her and said that my husband's behavior is concerning, and maybe I should do something about it. I got a bit angry after hearing them and told them that they should stay out of our lives, otherwise we will leave right away and go back to our home. My husband and my stance is that we are here to cheer my mother up, which is why we aren't involving her into this. But if they don't stop, we will leave. Both of them said they'll stop interfering in my marriage, and I was rude to them when they just wanted to help me. So am I the a-hole? I get they were trying to help me, but who would get this pushy? I don't even know her properly. Forgive me for a long post and for my English. Now, best support at the time was saying this, not the a-hole. Tell the neighbor, and possibly your sister, something like this. I think you should go to therapy. You expressed your opinion and insist on pushing until you get your way. You don't respect our boundaries and are grossly overstepping. You're also adversely affecting our mother's well-being by attacking and alienating her family who wants to take care of her. Get over yourself. Just because your cousin is a therapist doesn't mean you get to diagnose and harass other people. Others, though, do find the husband a bit strange. The problem here is that you married an antisocial weirdo. If complete strangers recognize that he needs therapy, that's a major problem. The reason you haven't already moved out is that you know they're correct. He's rude, angry all the time, and hates people? Well, he must be doing a bang-up job cheering up mum, eh? This post must be a joke, right? So, some think the neighbor and sister are being pushy, some think the husband clearly has some issues going on if multiple people are noticing this. Opie could be wearing rose-colored glasses after all. Well, it's a few days later when Opie gives us an update. So 3 days ago after I made the post, I decided to send my husband back home. He was concerned about what would my mum think and would it hurt her. I told him that I'll deal with my mum and my sister and join him. I stayed with my mum for an extra 2 days, tending and supporting her. But today I told her that I am going back home, but I'll visit her every other day if possible. Every day. My mum quickly caught on, and she said first my husband left and now I am also leaving, so she asked me if everything is okay. I told her everything is okay and we are just leaving because of work-related stuff. I lied, because we don't want to stress my mum because of sibling drama. So when my sister came to know about this, she asked me if I am leaving because of what she and their neighbors said. I was honest with her and told her yes. I can't stay in a place where my husband is not respected, so it's best just if we leave. She said she respects my husband, but his behavior is not normal, and they were concerned about my safety, and my husband might need therapy, the usual blah blah. I said I appreciate her concern, but constantly telling someone to go for therapy and implying that something's wrong with them is borderline harassment, and I should have put a stop to it instead of letting my husband tolerate this. She tried to stop me again and told me that I don't have to leave. I told her that I am leaving and going back to my husband. I'll visit as often as possible, but I didn't expect that we would experience so much drama just for helping my mum. So now I am back in my home with my husband, and I wish I could have stayed with my mum for a bit longer, but my sister and her neighbor screwed it all up for us. Even if by any chance my husband is abusive, even then she has no right to harass my husband with therapy, as it's none of her business. I'm kinda angry, not gonna lie. Now I do support the OP's decision here, but I do feel like this is always the case with some eventually abusive partners, that everyone else seems to notice before OP truly accepts that it's a thing. Of course, it's fair to say that's really putting a lot of assumption on a man here who is otherwise just someone who likes to mind their own business and hopes others can do the same. So let me know what you think. In the meantime though, I think it's fair to end today's video here. Thanks as always for watching this far. I hope you have a wonderful day, morning, evening, whatever you're doing right now. And until next time, you be good. Love your face. Bye bye.